Good morning, Bande Matram. Welcome all of you. The topic we are going to take over right now for discussion is on watching over one's faith. So we know faith is absolutely required, indispensable for this sadhana. You must have faith in the divine because divine the beginning, divine is the end, divine is in between. There is nothing for an integral yogic process. People, the pursuers of the integral yogic process, the sadhakas must have faith. There is no other go. So that is the topic we are going to take right now. Watching over one's faith. Mother will take from mother course. Certainly, a personal effort is needed to preserve one's faith. Personal effort is required. Personal effort. It has been many times this page you keep watching. The personal effort of the sadhak remains necessary as long as the lower nature is active. So here for faith, mother course, certainly a personal effort is needed to preserve one's faith. Personal effort is needed. It is not one day process. So that you are something you get or something you achieve or something and succeed about. So you must have faith, but that is not the one time process. You have to you must have the continuity. So, or let it grow within that preserve one's faith, or let it grow within. Much later, mother quotes one day. Looking back, we may say that everything that happened, even that seemed to us the worst, was a divine grace to make us advance on the way. Whatever is going to be is happening on the way. Whatever has happened, whatever is happening, whatever will happen, that is the divine grace. Duties owe to the divine grace. Without the grace, nothing happens really. So even if that is the worst, that is also through grace in disguise, because it advance on the way, and then we become aware that personal effort who was a grace. That also we can do. Personal effort, it is there. It is effort from the person. It is from our side, but that is also mother course. That is also a grace. Without the grace, that personal effort will be ineffective. So that continuation that will be very much a difficult process and next to impossible. But before reaching that point, one has to advance much through the grace. Through that grace, that is for that also grace is necessary, and one has to proceed a much. One have to advance a much, because with a very small beginning, you can have a glory of appreciating the grace. But thing is that it won't be that much permanent. So for that, actually, for that also little bit advance or much rather that advance is required. So it's a struggle to struggle much, sometimes even to suffer a great deal. To struggle much, even a second time to suffer a great deal. For that also it is necessary, because personal effort, that is not way as we normally think. Okay, I can do it. Not like this. For that also, that the grace, the requirement grace is absolutely necessary. No, so again, we must move up to sit down in inert passivity and say. Sometimes, inert passivity is constantly confused with the real surrender. Most of the time, we sit in the inert passivity and claim that I am doing something. Mother also quotes in our own language. If I am have faith, I shall have it. If I am to faith, I am to have faith, I shall have it. The divine will give it to me. It is something like a passive affair. So nothing like this. It must be dynamic. Nothing. It is only static. If I am to have faith, I shall have it, and the divine will give you. And it is an attitude of laziness or unconsciousness, almost a bad will. Mother quotes three things. Mother quotes before us. Number one is laziness. Second one is unconsciousness. Third is almost a bad will. With that, actually, this passivity is developing. We don't know. Actually we are unable to identify this passivity, and we every time almost we claim this passivity like in these words: "If I am to have faith, I shall have it. Divine will give it to me." So this is nothing but the passivity. With this passivity, we can have the presence of three things. Presence of three things definitely will find. One is laziness, second is unconsciousness, third is of the bad will. That appearance, that presence will be very much visible on the surface. There is no doubt of it. Later we'll come to the next process. For the inner flame to burn, most of the time the outer flame is not also burning properly. But mother course, this is for the sake of sadhana. The mother course, for the inner flame to burn, one must feed it. Without fuel, how can it will flame? One has to feed it, and one must watch over the fire, throw it into the fuel of the all errors one wants to get rid of all the delays in the progress, all that delays the progress, all that darkens the path. Five times, five things mother has quoted. Just imagine how mother has quoted the inner flame. Inner flame, suppose that flame that must be first burn, there must be fuel, everything must be put into it, so that it will having this fluid. By having this fuel, it will grow up and it will rise upwards. So like this, here the inner flame, mother quotes about the inner flame. For the inner flame to burn, not the outer flame. This is the for the inner flame to burn, one must, number one, feed it. Number two, one must watch over the fire, watch over the fire where it is burning upwards or not at all taking fire. That watch over will be there. Number three, of that delays the process. Something will be there. Suppose that fire is there, but actually the wood which you have been thrown into it are actually wet. So how can it will burn? So number three is all that delays the progress. And four, darkness on the path. And another thing, the fuel of all errors one wants to get rid of these fuels. Which one wants to get rid of must be thrown on it. So these great five things have been said by the mother. If one does not feed the fire, suppose it is something just now glittering, something now just starts burning. At that time you don't have the fuel in it, then you know feed you don't feed it, then what will happen? It smolders under the ashes of one's unconsciousness and inertia. That is, flame is there, but actually you are not giving the feed, so naturally you will find the smolders under the ashes of your one's unconsciousness and inertia. Unconsciousness and inertia, and then not your not your years but lives, centuries will pass before it reaches the goal, because very difficult. Without the feed, without the fuel, how it can be able to burn? So you must find the fire. Second, you must give the feed. Third, you must have the watchover. And final, whatever is required, errors you want to get rid of, it must be thrown. And later you will find that actually something is delaying the process, that must be thrown out. And something that darkens the path, that must be taken care of. So without the fuel, you will find the smolders and under the ashes of one's unconsciousness and the inertia. Then actually not years, but of course not years but lives. Many lives will go. You don't know, centuries, even centuries will pass. Even centuries will pass, but actually one reaches the goal, not at all possible. Even you may smolder like anything. One must watch over one's faith. One must watch over one's faith as one watches over the birth of something infinitely precarious, and protect it very carefully from everything that can impair it. You must have a vigilance. You must watch over one's faith. Number one, as one watches over the birth of something infinitely precarious, parts of something infinitely precious. Like that, you have to be vigilant. You must have the watch and protect it very carefully from everything that impairs it. First, you must have the watch. Second, whatever is actually you must protect it from carefully from everything that is actually impairing it. And finally, mother comes to the point discussing it in the ignorance and the darkness of the beginning. Faith, the most direct expression of the divine, which comes in to fight and conquer. In the beginning, there is tussle, there is struggle. If there is faith, naturally, you will have a big fight, and after the fight, you will have the victory, no doubt of it. This is the requirement, and this is the step-by-step procedure. And for that, mother tries to explain keep faith. There is no other go. You have to keep faith. Beautiful mother. It is from the writings of the mother, from quotations of mother. We'll try to put few lines. So we must have faith that always what is for the best happens. Whatever happens, and whatever is best happening, under everything we must have faith. We may for the moment not consider as it is best because we are ignorant and blind. Suppose you know that the story is there. King was asking, whatever is asking, yes, whatever God makes, that is for the best for us. Then king actually got irritated. He put him in the prison behind the bars, and the king went for the hunting that Prabhupada. So there itself he lost the path. He was kidnapped. Next day he was supposed to be slain near the goddess Kali. But finally there was a checkup. If this man is actually 100% fit without any hurt, without any spot, without any wound. So they found some wound is there, for which this minister said, whatever does, that is for the best of us. For that, the king was getting irritated, and finally he was found actually unfit to be slain for that body, for that gift to God, goddess. So simply he was thrown out, and anyway he survived, returned to the kingdom, and he remembered that minister's word, whatever is being done, that is the best. Whatever God does, that is for the best of us. So finally, he went and released the minister that actually I could not understand your simply language, but now I feel for you I have survived. And immediately he ordered the people to release the minister. And after getting released, one minister says, whatever God does, that is also best for me. And the king asked me, says, you are behind the bar, you are suffering for me. How it is you feel God has done the best for us? You can't understand. Suppose I was in outside, not behind in the bars, I must have accompanied you. And but that time I could have also been hijacked. Finally, if you are unfit because of the wound in you, but I am actually 100% fine. So I would be there, I would be slain. So whatever God has done, that is for the best for us. Now you are alive and I am also slain. So we may for a moment not consider it as the best because we are ignorant and blind. Because we are not to see the consequence of the things what happens later. For that actually we don't have that much feelings, that much greatness, magnanimity, and that clear eye, clear vision, so that we can see. But we must keep the faith as if it is like that. Rely on the divine. Sri Aurobindo's quotation you have remembered, whatever God plans for me, that is for the best. If God has planned hell for me, then why shall I aspire for heaven? Because God knows what is the best for me. So anyway, but we must keep the faith and rely on the divine. If we give the full charge of ourselves, we let Him decide everything for us. We must know that it is always the for the best. What is happening, that is for the best. That must be there. That faith must be there in the divine. We must know that it is always what is best for us that happens. This is an absolute fact, that is nothing else. Whatever is being done, whatever is happening, that is best for us, and we must have unshakable faith on the divine. To the extent to is you surrender, depends upon your surrender, the best happens. how much you have surrendered, how you have surrendered, that is the major thing. This may not be conformity with what you would like, your preference, your desire, nothing counts there, because these things are blind. Desire, preference, these are all blind things. And the best from the spiritual point of view is that best for your progress, your development, your spiritual growth, your true life, that is to faith on the divine work. But actually, this desire and the preference, these are all the blind things. It is the best from the spiritual point of view, the best of your progress, development, and spiritual growth, your true life. For that, actually, you will remember, you will consider that whatever is being done, that is for the best of us. It is always that. And you must keep the faith, because faith is the expression of the trust in the divine, and the full self giving you make on the divine. That is a great definition, So you must know what really this faith is. Faith is the expression of trust. Faith is the expression of a trust, that is a great thing, expressed in the divine. Expression of trust in the divine, that is a faith, and the full self-giving you make to the divine, that is faith. And when you make it, that surrender, fully self-giving, and that the full faith, if it is there, then something happens that is marvelous. So what we have to do, then not just words, we must understand. It is in fact, it is a fact. According to our self-giving, in proportion to our self-giving, everything happens, and we must have the trust in it. When you look back, all kinds of things which you did not understand have happened to you. You did not have understood, you expected, that has happened to you. And I realize just the thing which is necessary in order to compel you to make the needed progress. You don't know. Now itself, you don't have the idea that unawareness is there. You are unconscious, so you think otherwise. But if you look back and you feel, you will really imagine that whatever the progress is necessary, it is there always without expectation. It is our blindness that prevents us from seeing it. That is the major problem. It is our blindness that prevents us from seeing it. But thing is that if we are conscious, then we must know, we must realize that whatever is thinking happening, that is through the divine grace, and that is the best for us. And only one or two definition will find reads here in the very small manner how Sri Aurobindo tries to explain these great things. Faith fights for God while knowledge is withheld. Very interesting. Sri Aurobindo quotes, faith fights for God while knowledge is withheld. And even an intellectual faith must always be a worker of miracles. Man demands miracles that he may have faith. He wishes it to be dazzled in order to that he may see. But thing is that it never goes that way. You must not never expect that everything should happen as per our wish, our per willingness. That is not the truth. Thing is that the divine wills, that will happen, and that will happen for the best of us, even though we don't understand, we don't expect. Most of the time we are blind in our desires and our preferences, and most of the time we high-handedly and singly, without any second thought, we expect and we demand that divine must do everything as per our requirement, but things never go that way. Whatever is our needful for us, especially for the sadhakas who are pursuing the integral yogic process, that is the best will happen for them. So what we have to do, faith is the soul's witness to something not yet manifested, achieved, or realized. It is a great thing, great sentence from Sri Aurobindo. Faith is the soul's witness. Faith is the soul's witness to something. Soul's witness to something that has not manifested till now, not achieved, not realized. That is what a faith. You must have soul's witness. Faith is a thing that precedes knowledge. Very interesting. Most of the time we have knowledge. So before knowledge it comes. Faith is something that precedes knowledge, not comes after knowledge. You must be well aware of. So again, mother quotes, here in the quotes, at the end of flickering of faith will cease, and we shall have see his face and feel always the divine presence. That is the best way, best time, and the best method. Vande Mataram.